Today here at the receiving warehouse, we got a customer ASIC in, and we're going to go ahead and open the box, make sure everything is as it's supposed to be, make sure there's no issues with DOA. We'll go through and hook it up a little bit later, but for now, we're just going to make sure that it is the miner that we ordered and the customer is going to be happy when we get it racked. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. All right, so the first thing we get right on top is a manual that kind of covers the specifications of the miner itself, and it's written in multiple languages, and it covers everything you'd want to know about that process. Basically, we're going to set that aside. Power cable. What's important about these is these things are very specialized. This isn't something you get like a normal extension cable at Home Depot. It's a C19, C20 connector and an Anderson connector on the cable that comes with it. Again, these aren't standard cables you just pick up at the hardware store. It's very specialized. So again, sometimes they come with them, sometimes they don't. It just depends on the type of ASIC that you buy. You have your identification sticker here. This one actually has a serial number for your particular server, so you can go ahead and stick it into a manual in which you store that tracks your actual ASIC. And I'm gonna tip it over so it's easier to get at. These things are not light. This one's probably about 40 pounds. Lifting one or two isn't bad, but when you're racking over 150 in a day, it gets a little exhausting. So you take every shortcut you can. We got protective foam on the front side. I'm gonna wiggle it out here. And then inside here, you've got an anti-static bag in which your server sits. Bottom of the box itself is also foam to go through and keep these things from rattling around and get to our facility in nice pristine condition. I'm gonna go ahead and tip it on its side. And look for the opening here. It's on the bottom down here. Again, these things look like they're pretty stout built, but they are electronic devices, so you want to take all precautions as far as static electricity and everything you would do with a normal electronics device to make sure that you don't have any electrostatic discharge and those type of things when you're working with your ASIC. So this is what our normal ASIC looks like. On the front, you've got two intake fans. On the rear, two exhaust fans. Over on the side is your power supply. They also have intake fans to keep the power supply components cool. This is that Anderson plug I showed you on the cable itself. And then over on the far side up here, up top, that is your control board container. So this area here is where actually all the brains of the ASIC live. It tells it when to turn on, when to turn off, how to control the speeds of the fans and all the different things that need to happen. It does all the relaying of the network connections as well. A lot of times, as I'm doing this, I'll do a little bit of a rattle test just to make sure there's no loose components in there. Everything sounds pretty good. And this one here is ready to go through and take over to our bench to fire it up and make sure it's not got something else internally wrong with it before we rack it for the customer. There actually isn't an operating system on this, much like you would have like with a Windows computer or an Apple computer, and there's no interface actually required for it. In order for us to go through and find out what's going on with it, we use a computer network tool that actually kind of connects to it through the Ethernet cable and allows us to go through and access that control board. And that gives us all the vital information about it, like the temperatures, the fan speeds, how much it's hashing, and any diagnostic information it might need. But unlike a PC computer, there's not like an interface where you point and click and move around on it really. This ASIC is a S21 200T. The 200T stands for 200 terahash. And so the different models that we offer currently are the 200T model, the 234, and the 270. The main difference is how much Bitcoin can you make with that particular model. So this model here is kind of our entry-level model. It's great. I actually own a few myself that I'm hashing personally with. As changes in technology happen, as new ASIC models come out, they get a little bit more efficient. And so you're able to go through and have more created within the same kind of package, the amount of power used. And by doing that, it gives you an advantage of being able to pay a little bit more for the ASICs, but also being able to generate more Bitcoin with that one slot. And so that's why people would actually want to buy one that generates 270 terahash versus 200 terahash, because even though you're paying more for the machine, you're only having to have one slot worth of power. So if our normal rates were, say, let's $225 for a slot, you could get two of these and it would be 400 terahash, but you'd have to pay each month for two slots. Whereas you can get the 270, get 270 terahash out of it and only pay for one slot. So that's why we choose between the different models, figure out if you want to spend a little bit more upfront for a more advanced model or a little less and go through and have multiples down the road. If you're looking to get into mining and actually picking up one of these S21 miners for yourself, get in touch with us. You can go to abundantmines.com to go through and reach out to one of our professionals who will actually help guide you through the process, figure out which ASIC makes sense for you, and get you hooked up into the best plan to be hashing immediately.